Good evening and welcome back to 31 Horror Nights. It's October 20th and tonight's movie is Followed. So this movie is going to be very interesting because it is a found footage movie about a YouTuber, basically. I think that's supposed to be what they're going for. They're talking about subscriber counts and things like that. And it's an influencer who, in order to get more people following him, get more buzz, he and a crew, they investigate a haunted hotel, but things go south quickly. I've seen found footage movies that sort of play on the whole influencer YouTuber thing, like Afflicted, but this is the first one I can think of that's being very explicit about it. Sort of like, this is where we're starting, and this is like what's gonna happen to them. It was interesting because the trailer had a bunch of quotes that were really building it up. Like, I think I saw one was like, the most important found footage movie since Paranormal Activity. Another one was like, surprisingly effective. A horror movie for today's technological age. I mean, I wasn't like crazy excited about it beforehand, but now I feel like maybe I should be a little bit more excited. So I'm going to watch Followed and tell you what I think. Quite an interesting movie that was. I think I'm gonna give this one an 8 out of 10. It was kind of uneven, but overall well done as a found footage horror movie. It's kind of the opposite of Inner Demons in the fact that I thoroughly disliked the first half, but the rest of it was outstanding. First of all, even though the site that this is supposedly all about looks like YouTube, it's apparently not YouTube because they don't say YouTube. I don't remember if they ever give a name to the site, but if they did, I'm sure it's something that sounds like YouTube. They do that a lot. The hotel in question, they call it the Lenox Hotel, but you can tell that they're basing it off the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles. The same place where Elisa Lam was last seen and the place where she disappeared, and where there used to be a serial killer that was called the Night Stalker. But in this one, it's the Lenox Hotel, which is in LA, and there was this girl named Megan Kim, not to be confused with Elisa Lam, who disappeared in an elevator and was found in the water boiler, who disappeared in an elevator and was found in the burner. And the Cecil Hotel also was a place where there was a serial killer that they called the Night Stalker, but in this one, the Lenox Hotel, there was a serial killer called the Nightcrawler. Yes, I think we had a situation sort of like Wolf Creek where they couldn't get the rights or permission to make it about the real hotel, so they just sort of changed a few things. The main character of this movie is a vlogger called Drop the Mic, and I have to give massive props to the actor who portrayed him and the writing of his character, because it has been a while since I have so quickly and thoroughly loathed a character in a movie like this. This guy is every single negative stereotype about an influencer put together. This guy does not have respect for anything. There is not one molecule of respect in this man's body. Just the way that he talks about things, you can tell he doesn't care about anybody except for himself. And thankfully we're not supposed to like his character, we're supposed to dislike him, but it's still kind of annoying because it's him being horrible for a lot of the movie. However, that did lead into a sort of social commentary about the state of social media and influencers and stuff like that. I'd say that when it comes to scares, this movie is not terribly original, but it's not bad. It's also not one of those movies where they, ramp up. The first, supernatural thing in the movie is very, very explicit. Things start going crazy before they're even, a block away from this hotel. So Drop the Mic and 3 other people, they are checking into this house, and he even booked the room where the serial killer stayed just to be that person. He was treating this like it was super fun and exciting. But it's a lot like 1408, where the main character is so thoroughly convinced down to his core that there is no such thing as ghosts, but then the movie proves him very, very wrong. It kind of reminds me of Hell House LLC, because from the beginning, you know how it ends. You know that this ends with Drop the Mic disappearing, but the entire thing is like the slow build-up to that moment, and it does keep getting better as it continues. Characters get more developed, the scares keep improving, and it all builds up to the final part of the movie, which I will say was extremely well done. This is a good movie, but it's a good movie that you kind of have to work for, just sit through some not fun stuff in order to get to the good stuff, which does dock some points away from it. But it did keep improving, and by the time it was over, I really liked what they did with this whole story and, setup. But in order to get to any specifics, I'm going to have to start the spoiler section right now. One of the 3 people that came with Drop the Mic to the hotel was, I think his name was Chris, and he didn't want to go from the beginning. The only reason why he went was because Mike went to another person, a friend of his, and she had to convince him to come along, and she's basically the only reason why he's there. But then something happens that completely traumatizes him, and he decides to just pull the trigger, leave the hotel. They're begging him to stay, and he will not listen. He leaves. He walks right out the door. Then a few more things happen, and the other 2 leave. The editor, Nick, who apparently got completely traumatized by having to edit all this footage, and the other camera person, Danny, she leaves too, and that just leaves Mike, and at this point, he's experienced enough stuff that makes him want to leave too, but the thing was that he needs to get to 50,000 subscribers so that he can get a $250,000 sponsorship from, I think they called it Hot Gothic, but it was Haute. Again, with the not subtle rebranding of names. And it's a lot of horror movies where eventually it's the pride gets in the way of the logic. So he has to go to the basement and face his fear, and then a lot of supernatural things happen in the basement. And then the last part of the movie is him doing the hi, I'm sorry I haven't posted in a while. I think I need to take a break from doing these vlogs right now. And then you see him get attacked by the ghost that he saw in the basement of that hotel. And then it cuts to another vlogger. And this vlogger looks like he's 11 years old. I assume he's a teenager, but he looks really young. And he's doing the exact same thing that Drop the Mic was doing. The same disrespect, the same tastelessness. Except this time, it's him going up to the place where Drop the Mic was last seen and where his fiance's decapitated head was found. That's something that happened. And then the entire movie is a screen recording of someone on Drop the Mic's laptop, watching the vlogs and, ignoring people's text messages. And then he finally comments under the video. The name of the child YouTuber was Terrible Tyler. It says, I can't wait to meet you, Tyler. And then a bunch of people was wait, is this the real Drop the Mic? What are you guys doing here? What happened? And they just closes it, and then the movie ends. I feel like this movie was specifically made for someone like me, because I'm into influencer culture and I'm into found footage. In that respect, it did its job well, but I still don't like how, at the very beginning, Mike was just the most unlikable character. And we weren't supposed to like him, but that didn't mean that it wasn't, annoying to have to put up with him waiting for, the character to develop into something a little bit less reprehensible. The question is, did they do their job too well in the first half of making me hate him that I couldn't feel sorry for him in the second half? And I'm gonna say no, but they did a really good job of making me hate him at the beginning. I'd say this movie doesn't have the most original and groundbreaking idea, but the execution is what makes this a noteworthy movie. It's not amazing, but it's quite good. Alright, I'll see y'all tomorrow.